Okay, we're going to read chapter 17 of Because of the Rabbit by Cynthia Lord. But let's talk about what happened in 15 and 16. Remember, she felt bad about how she acted to Jack, and she went to find him in the classroom, and he was under the table, and then she told him the story about Monsieur Lapin and wanting to be a nuthatch, and then Jack was so nice, he made she told him what happened in the cafeteria about someone losing the rabbit, and then he started making cue cards, which is very nice of him, very nice, to help her know what to say on the telephone. And then on 16, remember, she asked her brother to help her find the phone numbers for the family, and he did find it, but she felt too scared to call right now. She was going to wait maybe until the weekend. She's just putting it off because it's going to be hard, I think. Okay, so this chapter is, I think we're going to read two chapters again. This chapter is called Rabbits Have a Blind Spot in Front of Their Nose. It's the only place they can't see. I didn't know that. Let me introduce you to my friend Emma. She likes to go kayaking. Emma once climbed Mount Katahdin. Emma has a pet parakeet. In my room, watching Jack describe me on the video, even my truths didn't feel completely like me. But as Leah had said, this was just a little project, and I didn't have to make such a big deal about it. I'd start with the props. I opened the email Owen had sent with my kayaking photos. The first ones were exactly what I'd asked for. Me with Eagle Island in the background. Then I came to the photo I'd taken of Owen. The nose of my kayak was in the foreground of the shot, and Owen was far enough ahead that he was only slightly out of focus. I print that one too, just for me. I planned to ask Dad if he could bring Lappy to school as a surprise, but then Iris would see Lappy and ask if I'd called yet, and maybe if I'd talk about him, I'd cry. I decided to bring a photo of Molly and Maggie instead. I love them too. Maybe I could even find a good photo from last Halloween. I had dressed as Alice from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and Molly and Maggie had worn big bow ties and spinning caps as Tweedledee and Tweedledum. I bet the kids would find that funny. For the last truth, I went to the windowsill for my Keep Going rock. I didn't have to show anyone what it said, but it was still from the mountain. Outside the window, it was almost dark, but I could still see the trees and the mountain on the other side of the lake. I miss seeing the lake change during the day. Amazing, all the things you don't even realize you'd miss until you leave them or they leave you. Looking at Keep Going in my hand, I found myself thinking about Jack. He'd kept going, trying to be my friend, even as I was hoping for someone else. Owen's words suddenly hit me hard. You also have to be a friend if you want to have one. I looked over at my checklist, Emma's best friend checklist. Likes me best, likes the things I like, shares secret jokes, is always on my side. Lets me be me, forgives me when I'm sorry. I hadn't lived up my checklist myself, not with Jack or Owen or Lappy. I hadn't always been on Jack's side. Owen had let me be me, but I only wanted Owen to be himself if it included me. I didn't want him to change and leave me behind. I wanted to keep Lappy mine because I needed him. In fact, I wanted them all to be the kind of friend I needed, but I hadn't tried as hard to be the one they needed. Maybe it was too much to expect one person to be my everything best friend anyway. Maybe I already had what I needed, just spread out across a bunch of people. Some parts with Owen, some parts with Lappy, some parts with Jack, some parts with Leah even, some parts to come with kids I didn't even know yet, but I had to be a best friend too. I picked up the napkin. Lappy loved us now, but maybe he had loved his first family too. With all my heart, I wanted him to stay with us, but what did he want? I knew what I had to do, even if it was hard or embarrassing or people got mad at me. I had to tell the truth about everything, even if it meant I lost Lappy. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, the next chapter is called Jackrabbits Are Actually Hares. On presentation day, Scared was definitely running ahead of Excited. Some of the other kids looked nervous, though, too. Maybe it wasn't just me. Maybe standing in front of everyone and sharing something important about yourself was just plain hard. Last night, when I decided to ask Dad to bring Lappy, I'd only told him what time to come to surprise my class, but when he came into my classroom carrying the pet carrier, I got surprised too. Owen stepped into my classroom with him. Ms. Hutton's eyebrows went up when she saw them. Her eyebrows widened to see the pet carrier. "Welcome," Ms. Hutton said. "You must be Emma's family. Such a nice surprise." "I thought you cleared this with her," Dad said to me quietly. I told her you were bringing my reveal, but not what the reveal was," I whispered. Then I turned to Owen. "Why aren't you in school?" He grinned. "I had study hall and then lunch, so I asked Dad to pick me up. I know you've had a rough week, and I remember how hard my first week was. I wanted to cheer you up." Excited grabbed the back of Scared's shirt and yanked her backward. Ms. Hutton smiled at me. "This looks like a fun ending to our program. We'll let Emma go last." Last would be perfect, but as the other kids stood up and we guessed their lies and saw their reveals, I started to wish I could just do mine and get it over with. I did find out some interesting things, though. Matt liked hiking, just like Ms. Hutton and me. Solange had twin brothers. Sarah collected sea glass. Bryn also had a pet rabbit. I couldn't wait to talk to her about it. And some of the lies were funny. Matt said his dad was a secret agent. Jaden told us he had won a beauty pageant as a baby. Michaela said she had a cousin who was a movie star. I loved watching the Ms. Hutton's fabulous fifth graders bulletin board fill up with photos of my classmates' special people, places, and pets. The table showed off cool objects. Sarah's sea glass collection, the glittery slime that Bryn had sold at a craft fair, and Kara's favorite stuffed animal, Moose. Everyone had interesting things about them, and I was excited to ask some questions to get to know the other kids better. Even if we didn't become best friends, regular friends were good too. "Our last group is Iris, Leah, Jack, and Emma," Ms. Hutton said. Leah and Iris went first. As their part of the video played, Jack's fingers were fluttering his secret wave at his sides. My hands were shaking too, rattling the photo in my hands. I hoped no one noticed, but even if they did, so what? Some other kids had seemed nervous too. When it was my turn to introduce Jack, it was weird to see myself on the classroom TV standing in my bedroom in front of my bookshelf. I wondered if Jack would notice that I had reshot the video last night and it wasn't the one he'd filmed. "Let me introduce you to Jack. His nickname is Jack Rabbit. Though, as Jack will tell you, jackrabbits are not actually rabbits, they're hares. Capable of speeds up to 40 miles an hour, Jack said under his breath next to me. Before coming to school here, I was homeschooled, and Jack has been a real friend to me. Here are some statements about him, but only 2 of them are true. See if you can guess the lie. Jack collects raffle tickets, even though he has never won a raffle. Jack built a dinosaur skeleton with 200 Legos. Jack learned to read at the age of 3. Most of the kids guessed the raffle statement was a lie. Wrong, Jack said. The dinosaur skeleton had 730 Legos. I brought a photo to show you because the real model would break. Wow, I heard kids gasp as he showed the photo. That's amazing. Even Owen leaned forward to look, impressed. After everyone had admired Jack's photo and seen his book and tickets, Ms. Hutton took the photo to put on the bulletin board. Jack, is there anything else you'd like us to know about you? No, he said matter-of-factly. I raised my hand. Could I give something to Jack? Miss Hutton nodded. Of course, Emma. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a rock. It's not a raffle, but you win this, Jack. I want you to have it. He turned it over in his hand. Rabbit magic, he said, reading the words. My papa used to say that all rabbits have magic, and you have jackrabbit magic of your own, I said. Thanks for being my friend. Jack smiled, handing me one of his tickets. You give up the ticket when you win. I smiled back and put the raffle ticket in my pocket. Thank you, Emma, Miss Hutton said. Jack, now it's your turn to tell us about Emma. Jack started the video. Let me introduce you to my friend Emma. Emma likes to go kayaking. Emma once climbed Mount Katahdin. Emma has a pet parakeet. The kids guessed correctly that the parakeet was the lie. It was pretty easy since Jack had hesitated as he said it. But I didn't care. You're right, I said, but actually, none of them are the whole truth. Miss Hutton looked up from her notes she was taking. I wanted to get a good grade on this, and these photos would be on the bulletin board for a while. But I also wanted to take a chance and be my whole self, even if the other kids didn't understand or I got a bad grade. My brother Owen took a photo of me kayaking, but that's not the photo I brought for the bulletin border. I do like kayaking, but I've always liked it best with Owen. We don't go as often as we used to go because he's in high school and busier now. But even though I miss him, I'm really proud of him. And it's extra special when I get to spend time with him. As I turned the photo around, I looked slowly at Owen to see if he was embarrassed. When I chose the photo of him, I didn't know he'd be there to see it. Owen smiled at me. I saw nods from some of the other kids too, like they understood. I felt lighter, almost dizzy with relief. I had said the truth and it had been okay. Better than okay. I felt understood. The second truth is that I did climb Mount Katahdin, and this rock is from the trail. I held up the rock and turned it over to show the words. My brother wrote, "Keep going" on it because I wanted to quit partway up. But you don't ever get past the hard parts if you quit. I couldn't quit here either. The hardest one was last. You're right that I don't have a pet parakeet, I said, but we do have 2 dogs, and for a while we've had a pet rabbit. My dad and I rescued him as a stray, and I named him Lappy for the stories my papa used to tell about a rabbit named Monsieur Lapin. I asked my dad to bring Lappy so that you could meet him. I gestured to Dad and to Lappy, peeking out of his pet carrier. Yay, Kara said, a bunny! He's adorable, Bryn added. Can we pet him? Leah asked. I nodded. But first I have to tell you the whole truth. I felt my throat filling with emotion. I pushed ahead anyway, hoping I could finish before the tears started. I said he was our pet for a while because I found out there were some signs up in town about a missing rabbit. I heard a gasp from the other kids. Owen and Dad exchanged confused looks. My brother helped me get the family's phone number. My voice was really shaking now. I need to call them. If Lappy belongs to them, I have to give him back. Beside me, Jack reached into his pocket and took out his phone. Thanks, I whispered to him, but I didn't mean right now. It's just for emergencies, he said, still holding it out to me. It did feel like an emergency, even if it wasn't the 911 kind. I looked at Miss Hutton. Could I call? It would be great to get this over with. She nodded. We're all worried with you. Do you want to practice first? Actually, Jack helped me make cue cards. I think I'm ready. I got the phone number and cue cards from the back of my assignment notebook. Dad came over beside me. I'm sorry, Em. Me too, I replied, but I promised you I'd give him back if we found his family. And it's like the wild animals you bring home. Even if you wish you could keep them, they need to go back to where they belong. The other kids circled around me. I couldn't believe how concerned they all looked. Everyone, cross your fingers, Matt said. Seeing them all cross their fingers, even Iris gave me some extra courage. Jack held the cue cards so that I could read them. Owen put his arm around me as I called the number and pushed the button for speakerphone so everyone could hear. Waiting, my eyes went to the bulletin board full of everyone's special photos. Miss Hutton had already put up the photo of Owen and me kayaking. Seeing my photo surrounded by everyone else's made me smile. For the first time, I felt like maybe I could actually belong here. "Hello?" a woman said. Dun, dun, dun. The next chapter is called Anything is Possible with Rabbits.